Hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, we got a toy tractor. Well, since I started making toys on the show, I've received quite a few requests, and this was one of them, and it was to make a toy tractor. But as I looked at images of tractors on the internet, the newer tractors of today, the more modern ones, they're kind of boring. So I actually chose an older style of tractor, and that's what I'm going to do today, and that's what the pattern is for. Now, this is a first on the show because normally the pattern has already been refined and I come out here and I test it. But this is the first time where the pattern has not been complete just yet because I've got some questions in my own mind as to where I'm going to take the design. But let's head over to the bench and see what I have so far. So what I have so far is a very simple line drawing of what I think I'm going to do with this pattern. And I want to start off with this section right here. And these are the outer panels of our tractor. We're going to need 2 of these, and we're going to cut them out of 1/4 inch thick material. Well, I have 2 pieces of 1/4 inch cherry that I have taped together. I've covered them with masking tape just to make pattern removal easier. And all I'm going to do is, using spray adhesive, I'm going to spray the back of the pattern, let it tack up for 3 minutes, and then rub the pattern down onto our surface here. Once I get that done, I'm going to cut it out over at the scroll saw. And when you're done, you should have something that looks like this. Now, we're going to just put these aside for now. Don't peel off your pattern just yet. And we will turn our attention now to cutting the tractor body core, which is going to be this piece right here. We're going to cut this out of 1/2 inch thick material, and in the same fashion we'll get it attached to our stock. We only need 1 of these, but do not drill this rear 5/16 diameter hole. You can drill this front one, but don't drill the back one. Okay, and as long as you have already drilled your 5/16 diameter front axle hole, we can peel the pattern off of our middle core section here. And then what we're going to need to do is we're going to sand our core section on both sides. Don't worry about the edges. And we're going to take our 2 outside pieces. Remember, leave your pattern on. And we're going to sand the inside edges, because what we need to do at this point now is we're going to glue these together. So line up your edges as best you can and sandwich your core between your 2 outside face pieces and glue them together. And once your glue up is dry, you just want to center punch your rear axle hole here, and then we will drill that 5/16 diameter through hole all the way through your 3 layers. And now we can peel off our pattern that is left on our outside piece here, and we can give the entire thing a good sanding. Well, the next piece that we need for this, now that all the sanding is done on our tractor body, will be the pieces for the front wheels. And we have 2 circles here of 3/8 inch thick walnut. They are 1.25 inches in diameter. Now, I have done these on the lathe, and I have actually added a few treads into the tire. You don't have to if you don't want to, or if you don't have the means, but it does add a nice little feature and does give a little extra detail. Now, I just want to show you a great tip that a viewer sent me, and I've been doing it ever since. Save some old margarine lids or what have you, the thin plastic lids. And all we're going to do, I have these circle punches, and let me just show you something here. I'm going to punch out a couple of these plastic discs, just like this. Okay, there's 4 of them. Those are 3/4 inch in diameter. And then I will take them and, using a 5/16 diameter punch roughly in the center, I'll give it a little punch. And what you end up with is a really great plastic washer that will help to ease any friction that the wheels might have against the body of your toys. So a great little piece of advice there, a great little tip, and very easy to make. They don't even have to be perfectly centered because they will be hidden behind the wheels. And now, using a piece of 1/4 inch diameter dowel that is 1.5 inches long, we can install our front wheels on our tractor. Now the axle does protrude just a little tiny bit from the front tires, and there you go. There is your front wheels attached to the tractor, just like that. So you can glue those in place, and then we can move on to the rear wheels. Now, in my opinion, the rear wheels is really what makes this project fun. So I have 2 pieces of 3/4 inch thick walnut here. They measure 3.5 by 3.5 inches, and I have marked and center punched the center. And the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to head over to the drill press. So in my drill press, I have installed a 2-inch diameter Forstner bit, and I have set my fence here and a stop so that the Forstner bit will strike right in the middle of our 3.5 by 3.5 inch stock. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a 2-inch Forstner bit hole 3/8 of an inch deep into each one of these blocks. And without changing the orientation of our stock or without changing the position of our fence or our stop, we're going to take out the 2-inch bit and replace it with a 1/4 inch diameter drill bit. And using our fence and our stop, we will drill a 1/4 inch through hole right in the middle. And we'll do that for both pieces. Well, we now want to mark out and shape these down to 3 inches in diameter. You can cut it with a fret saw and put it on a 1/4-20 bolt and sand it perfectly round with your cordless drill afterwards if you like. You can cut it on the bandsaw, use the same cordless drill method. I'm going to turn these on the lathe. If you don't have a lathe, that doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you got to change your methods a bit. So let me get these cut out, and we're going to get them to their 3-inch diameter, and I'll see you when I get that done. And there we have basically our 2 rear wheels. There's still more to do here, and that's what we're going to look at next. In your pattern, you'll have something that looks like this. It's an odd little unit, and what this is a tread marking gauge. So what I've done is I've attached this to a piece of hardboard, 1/4 inch thick, and I've drilled right in the middle a 1/4 inch diameter hole. And all we're going to do is place a 1/4 inch dowel through our wheel, and then we're going to place it down into our little marking jig. We're going to go around, and at each one of these points here that are marked on our pattern, we are going to put just a little nick with a pencil to place a mark for a tread. Now, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but try to get it as close as you can. So there are 12 of them in all. So put all 12 marks just like this, little nicks at the bottom. Mark all 12 on both wheels. Well, at this point we want to cut the treads of our wheels. So what I've got is a thread cutting jig, and I'll have the full instructions as to what to do for this in the pattern. Essentially, all it is a board that is wider than what your wheel is in diameter, and you have a square line and a hole which coincides with the center hub of your wheel to allow your wheel to ride flat on your table saw. So what you want to do is, for me, I like to use a little brass pin, but you can use a 1/4" dowel. That works as well. So you just want to sit your wheel on there like that. In my table saw, I have a dado blade set up with a 1/4" thickness, and I have it set to a height of 1/8 inch off the table. So what you want to do essentially is to start this off. I have my miter fence here set to a 30-degree angle. I'm going to line it up so that one of our tread marks that we placed on that with our marking gauge is lined up with the square line that runs through the center of this pin. And once I get it lined up, we're going to clamp this wheel in place. And then we're going to make one pass on the table saw. And once you're done with that, you just rotate it to the next mark, line it up with that mark at the top of your jig, and run it through for a pass. Rotate it, run it through, rotate it, run it through. And when you get all 12 done on both wheels, I'll show you what you end up with. Now I will point out that once you get halfway through cutting your treads, you will end up losing your marks. So what you want to do is you'll line up that vertical mark on your jig with the center of whichever kerf of your dado blade that you get to. So when this one comes up around, just roughly line it up in the middle, clamp it and cut it, and everything will work out in the end. And once you get those sanded up, check that out. Those are just awesome. And all you need at this point now is a length of 1/4" diameter dowel that is 2 1/4 inches long. And just like we did with the front wheels, using our little plastic washers here, we can glue these in place just like that. Check that out. That looks great. Okay, we got a couple more pieces to make on this. And I think we're going to turn our attention now to the seat. So the pattern for this is fairly simple. I've placed it here on some 3/8 inch thick stock, just like it says in the plans, and I'm going to cut this out with the scroll saw for starters. And now using my power carver, if you don't have a power carver, you can use a Dremel, you could use chisels, you could use sandpaper, whatever you like. I'm just going to give this seat some shape so it's not so blocky. And once you get it shaped the way that you like it, a little dab of glue here on this seat post, just like that, and then we can glue our tractor seat in place. All right, looking good. Okay, so there's just a couple more pieces to make, and the first one that we need to do is actually very simple, and it's the steering wheel. And for that, we just need a piece of 1/8 inch thick material, and we need a circle with a diameter of 1 inch. So let me get that cut, and then I'll show you what to do with it. So for the steering wheel, I have taken a 1/8 inch piece of walnut, glued it onto a 1/4 inch dowel, and just roughly cut it round on the scroll saw. It's not even close, really. And we are just going to use our drill to get it nice and round and to get it to a 1 inch diameter. And once you're happy with your steering wheel, you can drill a shallow 1/4 inch diameter hole right here in our steering column, and we will glue our steering wheel in place. Just like that. And that, my friends, is it. That is the tractor. So a little bit of sanding, and you know what? I'm going to call this one a day. That's a pretty cool looking little toy. And there you have it. A toy tractor. Guys, I am really glad that I had a viewer send me this request and ask me to design this, because I had a blast with it. Just a load of fun. I prefer the look of the older style tractors rather than the new ones. The new ones are kind of boring. And really, there wasn't much to play with there, but I like the old style. They have a lot of character and they open up to a lot of different modifications. If you wanted to, you could, in the center section or the core, you could extend it at the back and make a sort of trailer hitch, if you will. From there, you could make little plows or tow a trailer or whatever you wish, but there is room for modification. Add a smokestack or an exhaust if you want to add an exhaust. Add a stick shift if you want. The key to these toys is making them so that they have playability, which means that the child can bang them around without being afraid of breaking them. So you don't want to go too heavy into the details. And I was a little worried about the engine compartment, the smaller details that I added there. But they worked out to be fine. There's plenty of strength there, and unless a child gets in there and pries at them, they're probably not going to break those off. But it's just another little added feature that makes this whole toy just absolutely wonderful, in my opinion. But I designed it. I'm kind of biased, right? The best part here of this whole thing, as far as I'm concerned, and the thing that really makes the model or the toy, is the wheels, the rear wheels. And they are so simple to make, guys. The jig is nothing more than a board with a line on it and a dowel. And the rest is nothing more than rotating and doing a cut, rotating, doing a cut, rotating, doing a cut. It is as simple as that. 24 cuts in all, 12 treads per tire, and it's as simple as just clamping it in place and making a quick cut. Guys, I will tell you, do not try to cut those treads by holding the wheel with your hand. The wheel is striking that blade at a 30-degree angle, and the blade is spinning towards the wheel. So you want to think about this now. The blade is spinning this way. The wheel is sitting here on an axle. That blade wants to spin that tire around, and it will. You will not have the strength. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how strong you think your hands are. You will not have the strength to hold that tire in place. So don't do it. Put a clamp on it, and then you can concentrate all your efforts in what you're doing and keeping your fingers away from the blade and keeping yourself safe. The last thing that you'd want is try to be the hero and hold that tire, and then it starts to spin, and a knee-jerk reaction is to try to save it, and the next thing you know, heavens forbid, your fingers are in the blade. So guys, don't do it. Clamp as you're cutting those treads. It's a very safe process, and the clamp makes it that way. So give this a try. Don't discount the threads, and make one of these for your young ones. Guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in this week. I want to thank you very much for the suggestion. I really love this one. This was a lot of fun. I hope you've enjoyed today's show, guys. If you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. You click the bell and then you won't miss the notification of future episodes of the program. We have a heck of a lot of fun here every Tuesday and Friday, and I hope that you're going to consider becoming a part of that. If you'd like the pattern to this toy, just like any of the other toys that I've offered, you can hit up my website at acutabovewoodworkings.com. Click on the free pattern section, and it's right there. You can download it for free. There's a photo of the finished toy as well as this tutorial video. So check it out, get the pattern, and make one of these for your kids. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's project. I hope you've enjoyed the content that I've brought you, but more importantly, I really hope that you are going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another woodworking video.